What is up, collectors? A couple of things I wanted to chat with you guys about that were on my mind. Um, Lately I've been kind of redirecting my focus within my collecting. A lot of cards that have been bringing me joy or that I once thought brought me joy are no longer fulfilling that purpose. And so rather than have them sit in boxes somewhere, I decided, well, maybe it's time to downsize my collection. I know there've been a lot of fellow YouTubers out there that have been doing similar things. And so my goal over the next year is to sell off probably about 30 to 40% of my collection in the smaller end cards, and then use those funds to get into slightly bigger, kind of more iconic cards in the hobby. So I've been kind of slowly liquidating some things, building some funds, hoping to go to Strongsville this year to maybe pick up a couple of bigger cards. Um, so that's kind of been a little bit liberating to be able to kind of slim down, trim some of the fat, if you will. And for me, if a card doesn't bring me joy, if it's sitting in a box, if I'm not displaying it, um, well, then those funds can be used for other things. And like a lot of other collectors, one of the things that, a lot of other collectors have gravitated towards has been the eye appeal revolution. A lot of us vintage collectors don't have the funds to afford high-end vintage stars like Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Satchel Paige, etc. So, a lot of people have been looking for high eye appeal cards. And it's pretty common knowledge at this point that the grading companies, in particular PSA, have been suppressing grades and delivering overly harsh grades to the majority of cards, particularly vintage cards that come through. And so there's a lot of cards out there that years ago may have been 2, 3, 4 grades higher that are now, you know, grading ones and twos and threes that look like fives and sixes and sevens. So it's obviously collectors are going to want those cards. So my question for you guys is, and one of the things I've been noticing is with the eye appeal revolution, has the eye appeal tax gotten out of control? I get a lot of my cards on eBay and as well as Facebook. There's a lot of groups on Facebook where people buy cards. And lately, one of the things I've noticed is that the sellers, particularly sellers of high eye appeal cards, are marking these cards up sometimes one and a half, sometimes twice what comps are for the grade. And I get that a high eye appeal card is going to command a higher price. Everybody knows that. But I think the eye appeal tax has gotten a bit out of control to the point where a lot of dealers are trying to gouge the collectors to get a supreme premium on cards that, rather than slightly marking them up or marking them up to reasonable levels, these cards have gone kind of stratospheric and have become even largely out of reach for a lot of the kind of high-end players. And so then the question becomes, well, are you going to pay that premium or that tax? Or are you just going to wait and see what happens with the market? There have been a lot of videos out recently about the market being in an unprecedented boom. Mike Baseball Card Collector just put out a video that was a wonderful video on irrational exuberance, where he talks about the current economics, supply and demand, the state of the hobby, and that uh, booms can't last forever. I mean, we all saw the COVID boom, and now we're in kind of the secondary boom where there's cards are reaching new record highs, and it seems to be no end in sight. So a lot of collectors, being impatient, want the card. The question that I struggle with is it worth paying a premium and sometimes maybe overpaying for cards that, may pull back in the future because I'm impatient or because I see the example I want. Um, so that's something I really struggle with. I think it is a really tricky time to be a collector. There is a lot of noise out there, a lot of uh, kind of deception. I think because we're in such a boom right now, because the prices are so high, you have a lot of bad actors out there that are looking to take advantage of uh, this market. And so I think we got to be careful to not overpay for cards in the present, which may be slightly inflated. You know, most vintage cards are not inherently rare, but you know, just like anything else, supply and demand will command the price on a card. Um, there have been a lot of talks about uh, comps. How important are comps? What do we do with the comp? Is it a guide? Should it be the gold standard? And the thing that I struggle with comps right now is how accurate do we even know comps are? There have been a lot of drama lately about, um, you know, uh, shill bidding. Uh, I won't get into the full drama, but there was a whole controversy with Dr. Beckett and defensive shill bidding and what is and what is not okay. And and then looking to auction houses where many auction houses will actually place bids on consigners' behalf to get up to reserves, or even consigners themselves or the person commissioning the cards will be bidding on their own cards. There's a lot of really unethical stuff going on in the hobby. Just because an auction house allows it does not make it ethical. And that's the real problem I have with it is, oh, well, Dr. Beckett claims, well, auction houses allow it. Well, that doesn't make it okay. It just makes me not want to use these auction houses because I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of deception for the bidders and people trying to buy these cards and prices being inflated. Um, and at the end of the day, there's so much conflict of interest for these companies. They're going to seek to make the maximal profit and they want the maximal sale. So whatever it takes to do that, they're going to do. And for the bidders, we really don't have any kind of transparency to know who we're bidding against. Are we bidding against the auction house? Are we bidding against the consigner of the card? And then when those cards sell, well, the comp that's established, is that really a comp? Is that real? Is that inflated? So not only do we have a market that's booming, but we also have artificially inflated numbers when it comes to the comps on our cards. So it's really hard to know where to buy a card. I've also, I do a lot of my buying on eBay as well. One of the things that I can't stand is the deal or no deal, where sellers will list a card and basically field offers and decide if they want to take the price. And I find that even within deal or no deal, a lot of friends or dealers will chime in to kind of pump the price of a card up and appear like they're trying to make an offer on the card. So you just don't know what's reality and what is hype. And so for me, I've made a conscious decision to take a break from buying big cards until some of this hysteria settles down. And I do think eventually things will pull back and settle down, but it's really just a weird time from an economic standpoint. I mean, if you look around, if you're going to buy groceries, if you are paying your rent, if you are trying to afford electricity, if you're trying to uh, make ends meet, when in regards to cost of living, in regards to inflation, the cost of all sorts of goods and services and other types of things that you need to live. have gone through the roof. Sometimes inflation, when it comes to things like food, is 10, 15% on certain items. So I find it hard to believe that the people have that much discretionary income to then uh, dump into a commodity such as vintage baseball cards. But it seems to right now be defying those laws of economics. Maybe if we hit a recession, things will pull back. Uh, but I'm not really sure. And I'm not really sure if we're looking through a clear lens or if it's blurry because of all these other factors and distortions that we see every day. So it has made, for me, it's made collecting, taken away some of the joy of it because I feel like there is a lot of greed in the hobby right now and a lot of people who want to capitalize on this frenzy. So my hope is that things will pull back and that I, I hope the market pulls back. A lot of people, obviously, as collectors, we all want to see our cards grow and gain value. But also, as a collector, I don't want to be paying through the roof for cards that I want. So I welcome a pullback. I welcome prices to come down because that's going to allow me to pick up cards that I wouldn't otherwise be able to own. So I think as collectors, slow and steady wins the race. For me, I think my goal, what I'm going to try to do over the next, many months is to continue to trim down my collection and just kind of wait in the wings until things get a little bit better and then potentially try to get into some bigger cards on my want list. But I'm not prepared to what I think is overpay for cards and be part of this feeding frenzy. Um, I don't know. It's a little bit disconcerting. I think uh, we all got into this to connect. I got into YouTube to connect with other collectors and to enjoy my collecting, to show my cards, but there is lately so much greed and so much drama that it sometimes makes it hard to enjoy that part of the hobby. And I think there's a lot of big companies that are dipping their toes into every facet of the hobby, whether it relates to PSA, also making you offers on your cards, also having a marketplace on eBay. I don't quite understand how these conflicts of interest are okay. It seems like a huge problem. And I don't, you know, I do think there should be some more regulation in the hobby because I think if you're a company that's grading cards and then also then selling those graded cards and you can, the premiums on eights, nines, and tens and the exponential increase in price seems like a huge conflict of interest for PSA. And then you've had great companies like SGC that are essentially going out of business because you've decapitated their grading abilities. So things within the hobby that we used to love are going away and being swallowed up by these big companies. So I don't know. I'm kind of in a weird limbo with the hobby right now. Uh, I think what I'm going to try to do is enjoy the cards that I have, uh, take joy in those, and continue to trim down my collection, connect with other members of the hobby, and maybe as fellow hobbyists, we can connect with each other and trade and sell to each other in a honest, transparent way. Because I currently don't like all of the directions that this hobby is taking and all of the distortions all around us. So my hope is that all of that noise will clear up in the coming months and years. And I think if it doesn't, we're in a real danger of losing a lot of people within the hobby. And what we want a healthy hobby. We want to keep people like us in it. And we also want to welcome new people in it. Otherwise, in the future, our cards, no one's going to want to buy our cards. So I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what your goals are for your collection. what you think about the current state of the hobby, what you think about the ethics of these grading companies and these auction houses allowing these kinds of behaviors, and what do you think about regulation in the hobby? I think financial markets have regulations. Uh, Many different types of markets have regulations, or we have uh, preventions against monopolies. PSA would now be a monopoly. So we have to think about, should there be some sort of oversight or regulation in the hobby? I'd like to hear what you guys think, because right now, looking uh, looking at the hobby, I think it's losing its mind. I haven't been in the hobby long enough with through enough cycles to know, is this a repetitive thing that happens? But my sense is, since COVID and then since this secondary boom, this is pretty unprecedented stuff. And so uh, I'd like to know what you guys think. I'm still excited about collecting. I still love my cards. I'm still gonna be patient and look to get those cards that are on my wish list, and hopefully not overpay for them, because that's money that I could be using for additional cards. And I'll keep you guys updated on this journey. Uh, but that's all I got. Just getting some stuff off my chest, and chat with you guys soon. Keep enjoying your collecting.